In this discussion, I would like to channel where we come from, you and I as Homo sapiens. I call upon the Ascended Masters, Archangel Metatron, Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Ariel to guide and protect my energy. Open up my channels, my DNA, so that I may receive higher intelligence. And I call upon my galactic spirit guides of the highest vibration of love and light to assist me with this channeled recording. My intention is for all channeled messages to be channeled from the heart and to be loving and authentic to the universal truth. So right away I can feel many galactic beings that are on this planet, particularly the Men in Black. Now the Men in Black, they have great discernment is what comes up when it comes to the information they allow to be public. So there's only going to be certain pieces of the information I will be allowed to communicate to you guys. The Men in Black very much assist when it comes to the evolution of Homo sapien into Homo sapien 2.0. So very much you can imagine working alongside the hybrid children, because they're very much engineers. And not only engineers, they are also guides. So spirit guides and parents. So their responsibility is more for the new species of human, especially when the new species of human is being introduced. Okay. So there was a period of time long ago when Homo sapien was first being introduced to planet Earth. And before that, there was a different human genetic makeup, just a sequence of DNA. So the sequence of DNA is going to be different for the hybrid children. So they're very much watchful, okay, very protective and guides to the new children that are coming in. And this is going to be the next thousands of years. So it's very much, they help to stabilize the new DNA sequence. So the hybrid children, they very much help them to stabilize their genetics. And you and I, if you're listening to this, okay, we are very much assigned to a particular task that is meant to assist the hybrid children, and that is to purge. Okay, we're meant to really clear away the old wiring. So it's really about blankness. We're meant to come into a blank, empty embodiment. Blank and empty simply meaning soul light. So instead of being the product of our ideology, religion, programs on how to think, how to be, what to feel, right and wrong, soul. Blank, empty is simply the soul energy. So you and I are here at this time to really do the work to clear and kind of shed all of these many layers, these layers that we've taken on for lifetimes. So particularly the men in black, they don't see us as an incarnation. They see us in the totality, which is, for example, myself. I have been here for more than 30,000 years. Okay, and when I connect with those many past lives, my facial features are very similar. So the men in black, not only the men in black, but also there are other teams. So spirit guide teams, a council team. And they very much help when it comes to creating the blueprint of the incarnation, which is not what we think as incarnation, which is you are born, for example, I'm born in 1995 and then I'll die in some time in the future. No, the incarnation to the higher council, okay, with the men in black is like 30,000 plus years. So it is very much the totality of that person, which is the grand Assachic record. So the Assachic record in its totality, we are a projection of it. So we are like a fragment of it, but when we combine all our many lifetimes, it becomes like a book. So we are a chapter in that book, but the advanced book itself is the 30,000 plus years, for example. So men in black, as well as this other council, higher council, spirit guides that have very much been here since the creation of Earth itself, from basic organisms in the ocean. So men in black, they do come from Mars. So Mars is the older sister to Earth. So when Earth was very much a rock, okay, Mars was very much the Earth. It was thriving. It had life. It had species and organisms, like a cornucopia of life, very similar to Earth. So a lot of those organisms, their DNA was preserved and brought to Earth from Mars. And the men in black, as well as the other council, that I do not know their name at this time, they very much preserve a lot of DNA. So they safeguard and protect the authenticity of the DNA of many species on Mars. So think of it as like Noah's Ark kind of thing happened, where Noah, as we know, he preserves all of the animals, which you can see as the DNA of the animals, and bringing them into new lands, as Noah did, brought them into the new Earth after the waters receded. Same thing happened with Mars in coming to Earth. It was very much like a Noah's Ark situation with Mars coming to Earth. So with my unique genetics, so when I have dreams or even past life memories, my facial features are very similar. So when I look at my facial features, I see even Mesopotamia. There's a strong Mesopotamian, Iran, Middle Eastern appearance and vibration that I have, even way before that. So these beings very much, they help us to create a blueprint. Now the blueprint isn't, this is my body, okay, meaning this single life, this is my body. The blueprint is your 30,000 plus years. You were given a particular blueprint, and there's variations of that, and the variations are simply your lifetimes within the grand lifetime, which is the 30,000 plus, even 50,000 plus, even more plus life. So they very much preserve your DNA. So when you die, your blueprint, which is your facial features, they very much remain in the Assachic record in planet Earth. That's how they preserve your blueprint. So when you die and come into a new body, that body will most likely be similar to your old body because it is designed to match your blueprint as a soul. So your body, your appearances is not something random. And the stronger that you transform your physical energy, your physical makeup. For example, those individuals who have very distinctive features, like large eyes, they have, even the Middle East, let's think of Middle Eastern men and women have very distinctive features because their genetic lineage has transformed their genetics through their own discipline. So they've molded their actual genetic pool to be in alignment with the higher consciousness. So when you transform your makeup through energy work, kundalini, meditation, self-healing work, empowerment work, simply you, instead of being the product of your society, you change the makeup. You alter it through your own personal will. So you're kind of pulling against you're counter-pulling the already existing pool, which is we're born, and the pool is our society, is our ideology, religion, our geographic region, the programs, the trainings, the limitations, the right, wrong. So that's the pool. But the stronger we get at counter-pulling away from being a product of our society, a product of the dimension, and the counterpole is transforming our very body, our embodiment, into the authenticity of the soul energy, which is not this dimension. It transcends this dimension, and we anchor that and solidify that for many incarnations. We get really close to the original blueprint. So before we're born, time isn't linear. So not before this lifetime, I'm talking about all lifetimes. So 30,000 plus years, even 100,000, even when you're on Mars, which probably was billions of years ago, more like millions, many millions of years ago, you decided a blueprint. So your genetics, your features, basically what you're going to look like, and variations of that. So man and woman, so you're not just a woman in every life, you're not just a man in every life, but you have this overall kind of blueprint that's very, very organized for how you will look in your incarnation, that corresponds with your soul, with your unique expression. So what happens is the more that you pull away from the dimension itself, the ideology, the training, the programming, this is right, this is wrong, basically you're a product of society. I like to say factory belt. You're on a factory belt and everyone's all the same, and you're just like, you're handmade or made by the society like a factory belt. When you move away from that, when you're no longer on that factory belt of just like everyone's all the same, and you step into your authenticity, your body and your features begin to transform, become very similar to the embodiment you've selected in the higher realms, which is quite fascinating. So when I look at my features, I can see my higher self, and I know my higher self looks very similar to my embodiment here, and I know that my many lifetimes, through my fearless devotion to being my authenticity and not just being a product of society, it is transformed through the incarnations, not just in one life, through the incarnations, into a very close resemblance of my higher blueprint, which is my higher self. So that's a very interesting message. But the overall, the blueprint itself is preserved in the earth. It's in the Great Akashic record. It's kind of like a file. And Rosa, the soul of Rosa, has her own file, and when she wants to incarnate or when she leaves and she wants to return, there's that file with the original blueprint. Now, depending on my previous incarnations, it will determine how close I will look to that original blueprint. So if I did no work in my previous incarnations, if I was just a product of my society, meaning I was just like a sheep of every sheep, meaning I basically gave in to the limitations, I became the matrix, I became a hologram, which is simply being on a factory belt, and all the factory parts are the same, and I allowed that to happen. I allowed myself to just believe that the dimension and the laws and the matrices decide who I am. Well, then my appearance would not look very close to the appearance of my original blueprint that is preserved in the middle of the earth. So basically what I'm saying is, if you want your incarnations, even moving forward, okay, your next incarnations to look similar to the most original blueprint, your features-wise, genetics-wise, you have to do the work to really anchor. It's a process of anchoring that original blueprint into your biology. So the biology you're given, it gets stronger the more you get stronger when it comes to being your soul. Instead of your factory, you are the product on a factory belt. So your mind is just the mind that everyone has. Your will is the will of everyone. And that's that. You're just really in a group think. That's what it is, a group think. So that's a very important message, because particularly with the Middle East, there are regions around the world that have very strong, powerful energy. Even African Americans, or not African Americans, Africans, they have very strong, distinctive features, but that has over time is been kind of murked up. Okay, so a lot of the African facial features, they're not as defined as what they used to be. Even the Middle East, their distinctive features are not defined. And the reason those areas we know to be the start of really the first civilizations that we are aware of currently, the oldest civilizations, meaning Africa and Middle East, is because they have the strongest distinctive facial features, because they were able to, through their power, to anchor the soul into their biology. When the more you anchor your soul into your biology transforms through the incarnations, through the solidifying of the soul in the body, and your facial features begin to look more godly, so more distinctive, you powerful, almost alluring and piercing presence, because your body, your ancestors, and just thousands of years even before that, that whole region or the whole populace of that race decided to really just do the work and really ground the higher frequency in their body, such as Egypt. Egyptians have very distinctive features, and even the Middle East is because they anchored higher frequencies in their body. So this is something even I am aware of now when it comes to my own distinct features and how intense and alluring they are, powerful they are. Even a lot of yogis, if you know yogis, they have powerful eyes, like Yogi Bhajan, is because not just this incarnation, but Yogi Bhajan in various carnations, he solidified a higher frequency in his biology. So the more that he anchored his authenticity in his body began to transform into the original blueprint. So when Yogi Bhajan died, his eyes, very much the eyes, and his overall embodiment was almost an exact alignment with his original blueprint, which is his higher self, which is not physical. It's just a configuration of light that's unique, like codes. Okay, and energy is simply translated in a kind of intellectual way is like codes. So a lot of times, a lot of us are not even close to the codes of our most original our original blueprint, that is our higher self, the codes of that basically is like a cosmic code. So, and that just means that we've got kind of caught up in the dimension that we're in. We got caught up in Earth. We forgot who we were. We lost track of who we were. We lost track of the codes. And that's why our facial features are not really like distinct. They're kind of like watered down. There's nothing really like, popping out. There's nothing really distinctive about the features because we kind of like got caught up in this world, and we didn't really figure out who we were. We're not trying to figure out who we really are. We're just kind of doing what everybody else is doing. Okay, so when you start to get on the path of being your authentic self, like really challenging yourself to just think thoughts that are your own thoughts, not thoughts that are a product of the dimension, like children do. Okay, the children appearance and embodiment is the closest many adults will ever get to when it comes to the original blueprint, which is the higher self. The original codes, that is the blueprint for all of your incarnations on Earth. Children are very similar to the codes, or very close to the codes, until the society, they get kind of watered down, they get kind of interfered, they get trained and programmed to be a certain way, to think a certain thoughts. So the wiring of the brain just it kind of, they get into the appearance that is the appearance of the chosen kind of blueprint of this dimension, the matrix. So that's when we see children in their original mindset that is very close to the codes of their higher self begins to be wired almost away from their original codes. So we find children as adults, they're wired totally out of what is that their original thoughts, totally out of that. So this is very important information, because if we are to really step into our power, the godly presence, like the Africans and the Middle Easterns when they were in their height, and still you can feel the residue, meaning even though there's a lot of oppression and suppression going on in those geographic regions, you can still feel the power, because thousands of years in the Golden Age, they were very active, meaning they did a lot of work, a lot of healing work, a lot of anchoring, grounding, integrating higher frequencies into their body, into their geographic region, such as the pyramids. And even in the Middle East, we see very sophisticated and advanced teachings. So when we do this, when we get in the process of becoming authenticity, our features will become more distinct, we'll become closer to the blueprint, and then we'll basically get into our higher intelligence, which is able to ultimately create. Okay, we're creating light, as Nikola Tesla said. We are creators of light, and light is just simply innovation, genius, visionary, like lightning. Lightning is energy, and light is energy. It's a high amount of energy, and with a high caliber of energy, a high frequency of energy such as lightning, you are able to really create very sophisticated, balanced technology, not even technology, but knowledge. So now I want to get more into the earth. Homo sapien. So first I'm going to discuss about the Men in Black and how there are at least 36 genetic sequences to human. So we see human is, before human was ape. Okay, and that is very limiting thinking. There are many variations of human throughout time. Many. And the DNA sequences are all preserved and kept in facilities almost underground. And this is just for the knowledge. Okay, this is as you learn and you have a success, you keep that for further reference if you need a reference. So there are all of these DNA sequences of human, like even human on Mars. So it's a lot. There are a lot of DNA sequences of human. So Homo sapien is not is just one kind of human out of many humans. So what makes Earth very special, and that's why there is just so many beings of all over space and time helping Earth, such as Octorians, Orions, Pleiadians, Lyrians, just so many Sirians, because our genetic makeup is very unique. Earth was an experiment, and the experiment went well. It succeeded through a lot of trial and error, probably millions of years of trial and error, where human, it didn't work, meaning human didn't survive, and then a new human design was created, and that didn't survive, and then a new human was created, and then that survived, and then maybe died, and then so on and so forth. So what the initial vision of life for planet Earth was that Earth would be the communion of the galaxy. So our galaxy, which is our geographic region in space, our universe. So the communion, that's why they say Earth is the heart, and even heart, you can see it's like Earth, you can spell it is even its heart. That's why there's such a focus on being heart-centered, is because we are the heart. We are the communion of all of these genetics that surround us, that are in the cosmos. And even way in the distant past, these galactic beings were very much among us. But they all had their own agendas. So some were here for their own planet, such as gold, because they needed for their own kind of planet, and even the Greys, they needed for their own genetic offspring. So there's all these cosmic beings that had their own agendas. Okay, but the Men in Black and a higher council, like the Galactic Confederation, decided that, okay, all of these agendas, all their different ways of what they need Earth and humans for, they decided that human would be the genetic makeup of all of the alien races who were on Earth for their own kind of agendas. So it would for some races of alien, it would prevent any sort of conflict with other races, because the human would be both. So it would create this great oneness. So all of the alien races that have their own kind of very different planetary makeup, they could come together on planet Earth through coming together in the genetics of human. So human has Arcturian and Pleiadian and Sirian and Orion, and just all of these little strands of DNA from all of these planets. Even the animals and plants, they're pulled from all kinds of planets. So Pleiades, there are animals pulled from there, and then there's animals pulled from Arcturus, there's animals pulled from Orion. So that's why Earth is such a cornucopia. It's so abundant in just species and organisms, because it's not random. These organisms all came from all of these different planets and were genetically enhanced, modified, so that all of the animals and plants from such different planetary systems could coexist together under the same planetary gravity and atmosphere. So that's the modification of all of these animals, so that they could exist together on a planet of the gravity and the atmosphere of this planet, which was very different from their home planet. So that's very much Men in Black and other galactic or council, that very educated. So it's very much like 12th dimension. 12th dimension is is the highest, just like a dimensional frequency of a particular planet, and then above that it's like celestial. It's not like a physical, it's beyond the planet, so it's more like a cosmic vibration. So the layers of Earth, it kind of vibrates outward from the planet, and the 12th being like the outer layer, basically very knowledgeable on the Sachic record of the planet and the cosmos. So that's a strong ability to engineer genetics, because you have access to these Sachic records of the planet and also the cosmic planets that are all around the geographic region of the galaxy, which is the universal region around this Earth. So all of the genetics of all the aliens came together and created the human, but it was a lot of trial and error. So that is why we're so special, because we are a successful experiment. We are literally the heart of the galaxy, the heart of this geographic region of the universe. And our genetics are very important, very valuable, because of this fact that we are a combination of just so many different intelligences, so many different makeups, and it's all within us. So we very much, our very cells contain knowledge of just so many planets. The strands embedded in our DNA sequence is like connects us to Orion, Pleiades, Arcturus, Sirius, Lyrae. So when we dream and when we channel, and our feelings and our connection to even ETs, it's really because our DNA it has the planet inside. So when you are pulling DNA from a planet, basically you're connecting this planet to that planet. So our Sachic record, our DNA, so our greater knowledge, our past, is much more ancient than Earth itself. It goes way beyond when Earth was a rock and became, habitable for life. It connects us to something even older. So that's why we have capability for such wisdom, because we can access the fall of particular planets that are in our genetics, such as even the Lyrans. We can connect with the failures, the mistakes of planets, even the technology failures. And that's why right now, when it comes to the technology, we will have the knowledge to get through this, because we have connections to planets who didn't get through this technology shift, and now their planet is kind of it's not very stable planet, and we have that knowledge in our DNA. We just need to learn how to open it up and unlock. And that's how we as humans are so imaginative. The heart is basically the great creativity, like cornucopia, abundance, and that's why we have so many emotions, because we have like all of the intelligence is in the makeups for emotion, for spirituality, for sensuality, for intelligence of just all of these various places, the planets. So that's why our spectrum for emotion is so broad, because it has like Pleiades emotions, and it has Sirian, and it has Orion, all of these, because those beings were on this planet at one time long ago, assisting us. They were anchoring their consciousness and came up with an idea for all of this to kind of come together in an actual person. Not a person that's not just the offspring of one ET race, but a multitude. So it would bring all of the beings together. It would help all of the beings, such as Pleiades and Orion, see the oneness, the interconnection. And we are that, the great interconnection with all of the planets. So this is important to recognize within ourselves, because it really shows how incredible we are as a human, how special. We are not special as in we are better or worse and than any sort of planet. It's just we are this experiment, this successful experiment, this grand expression of the universe wanting to come together in the actual physical planet. And that's very much us. So I feel like this is the channel message that wants to come through at this time, and I will be honest, I felt some ET presence while I was channeling this, and kind of they're just watching energy. So thank you for listening, and I hope that this has awakened your mind. As ultimately, I just want to awaken your mind and unlock your own creativity, your own knowingness, so that you may feel on a body level the power within you, the higher consciousness, the higher intelligence within you that's able to really receive any sort of information that you really would like. Wisdom, really. We are great wisdom holders, and it's in our genetics. It's not what we say or do. It's just who we are as a human. We are great wisdom guides. So when we really step into our power, we become these wisdom guides of just all of the races of beings that are inside of us. So right now, our Earth is very much protected by a particular council that really prohibits any sort of ET interaction. So we're really all safeguarded. Okay, so there can't be any ET interaction because we as humans must kind of figure it out on our own. Because if we don't figure it out on our own, then we're going to be kind of crutched. We're going to be crutched to the ETs. And that's not going to help us to step into our power if we're needing aliens to figure out our technology and how to heal our planet. Because the ETs know that they don't really need to kind of tell us how to clean our planet or heal or become wiser or how to evolve into Homo sapien 2.0, because we have it in our genetics. The only thing is just unlocking it. If we can unlock it, then we don't need necessarily ETs to come down and tell us what to do, because we are wisdom guides. We are just as advanced as they are. We are just as connected to them as each other, because of the genetics inside of us. So it's important for you to come into your most authentic blueprint, because when you become your most authentic blueprint, you vibrate the soul on a body level. So your biology becomes like the vibration of your soul instead of the vibration of your parents and your family tree and their makeup, and they're wandering the planet forgetful. They don't know who they are. They haven't known who they are for lifetimes. That kind of thing. You can vibrate the soul, and that's when you get into power, and that's when you become a creator, such as even Nikola Tesla energy. I say him because he had very distinctive eyes, very distinctive presence, embodiment, because he was vibrating the soul, because through his many lifetimes he was able to kind of mold his social formed mold into the mold of his soul, and that's how he was able to really channel directly from the soul the innovation, because he had a very close appearance in biology to the makeup of his soul and the celestial self. And this is what we are going to get into, and this is what the hybrid children are very much about. And they are just a totally different genetic DNA strand that has already been decided. It's already been kind of made and perfected, and we are simply of course we are the parents. These hybrid children they're going to be born to us, but not just us, particular people who have done a lot of the heavy lifting and have a blank kind of empty energy. And this is where the hybrid children are going to be born, in those kind of wombs. And a lot of the hybrid children are already, you could say, like persons. and they're already being trained and they're already being parented by an advanced higher beings like the Men in Black and even another council, and they're being prepared, they're being trained, and simply the mother, a lot of times the mother, it can be even just like a driver. They just drive them into life, and then the child has such a strong connection to their parents, their Men in Black or council parents, that they are able to attract their own support system that may not be their biological family, but is out there. Their support system that is more close to who they are than parents that are nowhere even in alignment to their kind of advancements. So as parents, it's important we advance ourselves, because we're going to be receiving very advanced children with a totally different DNA sequence. And that's why we're really upgrading, or a lot of us are receiving a Kundalini awakening, because our body's being upgraded so that we can be able to hold a high enough caliber to receive the higher blueprint of the hybrid children. So that's why we're rising our caliber for our wisdom and our ability to create synchronicity, magic, so that we can kind of have enough open and expanded space within our energy to receive like a very expanded person, instead of like a shrunken energy. It's like not even the whole energy, it's just kind of like a piece, because the big energy can't come in because it's so tight in your body. So this is important message, because it's telling you what's kind of going on with the hybrid kids and with the parents and with the genetics. So I feel if there's any other messages that wants to come through, for me personally, channeling my brain through my own Kundalini awakening and the dark night of the soul, my brain is just so open and receptive. But at the same time, for those of you who are experiencing a great awakening, you must relax. It's very important that you relax and not overstimulate yourself, because you do have a two-dimensional body. You may be upgrading into your brain, maybe upgrading into like, let's say, fifth dimensional, but you must remember your body is a slower process. Your brain can switch. It's just like an on switch and off switch. But your body, it has cellular makeup, like it has a comfort, and it has a structure that's been solidified in this particular kind of mold. So if you try to just do too much, you channeling way too much, such as I do a lot, your body, it's just overstimulated, and then it gets overwhelmed by that fifth dimensional intelligence in this two-dimensional body. So you must relax to give your body time to kind of and it's going to be lifetime. It's not going to be two years. It's going to be a lifetime where your body is going to like just slowly kind of upgrade itself to be more in alignment with that fifth dimensional brain or frequency broadcast that you have going directly from your brain out. That's a very important message, so you don't overstimulate your body to the point where it gets unhealthy for you. You become very off balance because your body can't handle. It doesn't know how to handle it because it hasn't handled that for so many thousands of years. So you've got to be gentle to your body. You've got to just slowly introduce a higher frequency to your body, not all at once. Because your body, if you try to deconstruct a very solidified mold, it can just cause just imbalance. It can cause a lot of imbalance. So I feel like I'm going to end the messages here. Like I said before, I hope you enjoyed this and have a wonderful full moon in Virgo that is happening right now as I speak, which is 12 p.m. with that beautiful Virgo moon, which is also organization, such as organizing genetics is what I was talking about. There's an organization system, so it's very synchronistic, as well as Virgo is about health, so very much goes with genetics, the health of human through the evolution of human, as well as creativity, Virgo energy, and artistic, using your art to kind of heal your life, to evolve your life. So it's very, can be very critical energy, because it really wants you to get organized, so that you're not like just running around like chaos, because a lot of us are very disorganized and our mind is just all over the place. It's just no structure, no kind of roadway. So Virgo really grounds us into simplicity, so that we can return back to a simple, like organized life, so that we're very productive, instead of just like all over the place and just completely just off focus. So it helps us to be focused. It helps us to be clear-minded, and really helps us to focus on what is important. And really Virgo is saying what is important is connection, making connections in your brain to higher consciousness, your body, making connections when it comes to tissue, like your tissues, and like really connecting the tissues together for healing. Connections even when it comes to even relationships, is really focusing on what is important. So when you really understand what is important, all of this disorganization and this confusion and all of this excess will go away, because you know what is truth for you, and that is the connections in the mind, in the body, in the heart, with other individuals, and the presence, because Virgo's earth sign, so it's about being very present. The more present you are, the more you're going to be aware, and the more you're going to be able to feel like your truth, feel what is, how you can be better organized. It's a feeling, it's an actual presence to be able to know what you need to do here and now, what is most important here and now. And the Virgo is, let's be real. That's what she says. She's very critical. Let's be real. Like, let's cut the stuff out that's not serving you. Cut it out. Like, it's not even possible. It's like, cut it out. That's why she's very critical, because she wants you to cut it out. She's not giving you an option. So if you feel very like if you're like overwhelmed, it's because there's something she's really wanting you to cut out, and it's not even an option. You have to cut it out with Virgo, because she's disciplined. So she wants you to be the best you. She wants you to be of service. She wants you to give. And if you're so confused and disorganized, you're not going to be able to give anything, because you're just going to be in the state of just going around doing who knows what, wandering with no sense of purpose. So Virgo is like purpose. So she really criticizes your life to kind of help you to get back on a sense of purpose. And the purpose for Virgo is very simple. And when you overcomplicate your purpose, that's also when you're going to feel a lot of kind of like overwhelming feeling. Your purpose for Virgo is simply, it's being the healing presence. It's connection with your body, with your mind. Health, with connection with health is your purpose as a human. Connection to other people, healing yourself, discernment, organizing your day, your creativity, organizing in your art, clearing stuff, old people, and even objects in your house, even thoughts that just don't work anymore. So that's another message of guidance. The full moon in Virgo. So I'm going to end it again, like I said before. I'm going to officially end it now. So namaste.